Welcome to HFY Kids, where human heroes save the stars. From brave little humans to kind alien friends, every story proves that courage, kindness, and hope can cross galaxies. Subscribe now for epic sci-fi tales filled with heart, wonder, and unforgettable moments. The sky was dark above the arena. Thunder rolled in the distance, but no one looked up. All eyes were on the center where a small alien girl stood, tied and bleeding. She was shaking, her knees almost touching the ground. Her long silver hair was messy and wet with rain. Her arms were tied behind her back with sharp metal cords. Her face had cuts and her clothes were torn and dirty. All around her, huge black beasts circled. They were as tall as a man, with red glowing eyes and long sharp teeth. They walked slowly, growling. Sniffing the air, they were hungry, and the girl smelled like fear, high above, behind the protective glass walls. Aliens watched the scene. Some laughed, others clapped. Rich aliens with gold rings and tall collars were drinking and pointing. "Look at her. She won't last a minute." One shouted. "This is better than last week," said another. This was a death game, a place where unwanted creatures were thrown for fun. And this little alien girl, no family, no home, was the next victim. No one knew her name, no one cared. She had been caught stealing food from a royal kitchen, and for that, they sentenced her to this. She whispered something. Her voice was small and full of pain. "Please let it be fast." One of the beasts stepped closer. Its claws dug into the dirt. Its red eyes locked on her neck. The girl shut her eyes, waiting for pain, waiting for the end. But then a sound stopped everything. A sharp whistle cut through the air like a blade. The beasts turned their heads. The crowd fell silent. Someone was walking into the arena. He was tall, covered in a brown, dust-stained coat. A human. He didn't run. He didn't shout. He walked slowly, step by step, straight toward the girl. The guards on the wall shouted, "Stop! Get back! You're not allowed here." But he didn't stop. Some aliens started laughing. A human. "What's he doing here? He'll die too." But the human said nothing. He walked into the circle of beasts. The creatures growled, showing teeth. The girl opened her eyes in fear. "No," she whispered. "Go away. They'll kill you too." The human pulled something from his pocket. It was a small device, black and silver. He pressed a button and a strange sound came out. The beasts screamed in pain and stepped back. Their ears flat, their heads low. The device used high-frequency sound, something they hated. The human walked to the girl, knelt beside her. He cut the cords from her hands and helped her stand. "Who are you?" she asked. "Why are you helping me?" He looked at her with calm eyes. No one else did. He said softly. The crowd above began to shout, "That's cheating. Take him out." A voice came through the speakers. "You are breaking royal law," it said. This girl was marked for death. The human stood tall. "I invoke Human Rescue Protocol 12, he said. "She is now under my care." The guards hesitated. No one had used that rule in years. It was old and forgotten, but still active in the human code. "You'll pay for this." Someone shouted, but the man ignored them. He picked up the girl. She was light, weak, almost too cold to hold. Her eyes were wide with shock. He turned and began walking out of the arena. The beasts stayed back, still afraid of the sound device. No one stopped him. No one dared. The crowd was silent now, watching something they didn't expect. A human, saving someone no one wanted. As they left the arena, the girl whispered, "I was ready to die," the human replied. "Then today is not your day." And with those words, he walked into the rain, holding the girl in his arms, and the beasts howled behind them, but they were free. For now, rain hit the ground hard. Cold wind howled through the broken trees. The human ran fast, carrying the weak alien girl in his arms. But behind him, alarm sirens screamed across the arena walls. Red lights flashed through the jungle edge. Security droids were coming, 6 of them, flying low, scanning, hunting. The man's boots slipped on wet leaves. but he didn't stop. The girl clung to him weakly, her head resting against his shoulder. She could barely speak, but her whisper reached his ear. "They'll catch us. You should leave me." He didn't answer. Just held her tighter and kept running. A sudden light flashed ahead. One of the droids dropped from the trees, its eye glowing bright red. "Stop, human," it said in a cold metal voice. The man didn't stop. He pulled a small black object from his coat and threw it. Boom. Smoke burst in all directions. The droid spun, blind and confused. And the man ran past it, not looking back. The girl tried to lift her head. "Why are they chasing us?" "I'm nobody." "You're someone now," he said. And that was all he said. After 30 more steps, he reached a steep hill. Hidden in the base of the rocks was a metal door, covered with moss and dirt. He kicked it twice, then used his palm on a small scanner. Click! The door creaked open, revealing a narrow, dark tunnel. He rushed inside, carrying the girl down a stairway of stone. The door shut behind them with a heavy slam. The tunnel was damp, cold, and full of shadows. But it was safe, for now. This was an old bunker. Forgotten by most, used during the early war between humans and alien empires. Now abandoned, it had become his shelter. His place to disappear. He placed the girl gently on a dusty table. She winced, her arm bleeding, a deep bite mark from earlier. The man opened a small metal box and pulled out tools, wires, a healing pad, liquid bandage. The girl watched with wide eyes. "You live here?" she asked, her voice weak. He nodded. Sometimes, when the world gets too loud, he cleaned her wound slowly, carefully. But she flinched in pain. "Sorry," he said quietly. "I'll make it stop soon." She looked around the room, old posters, rusted machines, human drawings of stars and home. "Why help me?" She asked again. "No one ever helped me before." The man didn't look up. He taped the healing pad over her arm and said, "Because I remember what it feels like to be left alone suddenly." A sharp beep echoed through the bunker. A motion sensor. The man's body tensed. He ran to a screen on the wall. 3 droids outside, scanning, one more coming from the east. "We don't have much time," he said. He picked up a strange metal chip and pressed it to the girl's neck. She gasped. "What is that?" "Temporary ID blocker," he said. "It will hide your signal." But only for a few hours, footsteps echoed from above. Not just metal ones' voices, too. Guards, sent by the nobles, tracking him. The man grabbed a bag and tossed in a few tools, then turned to the girl. "Can you walk?" She nodded slowly, still dizzy but stronger. They moved quickly down another tunnel, deeper underground. The lights flickered. The air smelled of metal and dust. "I don't even know your name," she whispered as they ran. He looked back and gave the smallest smile. "Alex," he said. "Call me Alex." She nodded. "I'm Leary." A loud boom shook the walls. The main door above had been breached. "They found us," Alex said, pulling her faster. "We have to reach the emergency hatch." They turned a sharp corner, only to see the path ahead collapsing. Rocks falling, blocking their way. Alex turned and pulled Leary behind a support beam. He held her close as the bunker shook around them. When the noise stopped, dust filled the air. But they were alive. Leary coughed and looked up at him. "You could have run away and saved yourself," she said. Alex looked down at her and replied, "But then you'd still be in a cage." The old tunnel was falling apart. Rocks kept dropping from the ceiling, and the air was getting thick with smoke and dust. Alex held Leary close, his coat wrapped around her small body. They had only one light left, a flickering wrist lamp. "We can't go back," he whispered. "The way behind us is gone." Leary coughed softly, her voice still weak. "But where do we go now?" Alex didn't answer. He looked at the wall, brushing off dust, revealing a half-broken metal panel. He pressed a few buttons, but sparks flew out. "It's dead," he muttered. He pulled out a small, cracked screen from his satchel. It was an old map unit, human tech, barely working. He tapped it. And the screen lit up in patches. Lines appeared, tunnels, rooms, exits. But half the screen was frozen. The other half flickered like a broken dream. Still, he smiled. "There's one route left," he said. "A side tunnel that leads to the scrapyard flats." Leary's eyes widened. "That's outlaw land." Alex nodded. "I know." He helped her up again. Her legs still shaky, but stronger than before. They started walking through the side tunnel. Each step echoed like thunder. They moved slowly for an hour, until the tunnel opened into a metal cave. In the center stood a figure, tall and covered in armor made from old junk. Eyes glowing under the helmet, Alex raised his hand. "I'm not here to fight," he said calmly. The figure didn't move. Then a deep voice came out from the helmet. "Alex Reed, you're still breathing." Alex smiled a little. "Didn't think you'd forget me, Varn." The armored figure stepped forward. Pulled off his helmet underneath was a half-machine, half-Valian face. Metal skin, wires on the jaw, but a scarred smile. "You always show up with trouble," Varn said. Then looked at Leary. "Who's the girl?" "She was in the arena," Alex said. "Marked for death, and you saved her." Varn asked, surprised. Alex nodded. "Now I need to get her far from here." Varn crossed his arms. "Nothing's free out here. You know that? I need safe passage to the neutral zones," Alex said. "Or at least an old ship I can fix." Varn whistled low. "That's a big ask." He walked to a control panel and tapped the screen. A small ship appeared on the display, half buried in junk. "It's old, slow, and missing a fusion cell," Varn said. "But it might fly. You can wake it up." "I can," Alex said. "But I need time." Varn looked at the girl again. "She's not even human. Neither are half the people hunting her," Alex replied. Silence. Then Varn let out a dry laugh. "You never change. All right. You've got 12 hours. After that, this place won't be safe for either of you." Alex nodded. Varn turned away and left through another door. Leaving them alone in the cave, Leary walked up beside Alex. "Is he your friend?" she asked. Alex thought for a moment. "Once," he said. "Now he's just not my enemy." They climbed to the upper level of the cave through rusted ladders and broken rails. At the top stood the ship, its wings bent, its metal scratched by time, but its core still faintly glowing blue. Alex ran his fingers across the surface. "She's old, but she has a heart. Like me," he joked softly. Leary sat on a crate, breathing heavy. "Why are you doing all this?" She asked again. "You could live a quiet life." Alex paused, then whispered. "I tried that, but quiet doesn't help the broken ones." He opened the ship's hatch and climbed inside. Dust fell from the ceiling, but the lights blinked weakly alive. He sat at the pilot seat, pulled wires, checked systems. Outside, Leary looked at the sky through a hole in the cave roof. Stars were barely visible through clouds and junk. But for the first time in her life, she felt like they weren't so far. Then, a sound, far off, but growing closer. "Engines, drones," Alex shouted. "They found us again." Leary stood up fast, panic rising in her chest. Alex grabbed a cable and yanked it into the core. The ship hummed. Lights glowed brighter. "We're not ready," Leary cried. "We don't have the fusion cell." Alex turned to her with fire in his eyes. "Then we'll fly with sparks." The sound of engines was louder now, closer, meaner, faster. Alex's fingers flew over the ship's old control panel. The ship groaned like an angry animal waking from a long sleep outside the junk cave. Red lights flashed. Security drones flew in formation. They locked on to the heat signature of the ship. Missiles armed, weapons glowing. Leary stood at the door of the ship, eyes wide with fear. She watched the drones move like wolves in the sky. "Alex, they're here," she whispered. "I know," he said, through clenched teeth. He slammed a fist on the console. The engines coughed once, twice, then roared to life. "Hold on to something." The ship shook as its thrusters fired. Junk and metal scraps flew in all directions. The old cave roof cracked from the force. Then, boom, the ship launched upward, smashing through the roof, straight into the cloudy sky. Leary screamed as she fell back into a seat. Alex pulled the flight stick hard to the left. Lasers zipped past the window, missing them by inches. They're locked on us. Leary shouted, "We're too slow." Alex gritted his teeth. "Not if I drop the stabilizer." He reached for a lever marked "Do Not Touch" and pulled it. The ship jerked wildly, losing balance, but it also gained speed. Like a wild beast with no leash, behind them, the drones began the chase. 5 of them, flying in perfect formation, their red lights blinking like a warning. One missile launched. Alex spun the ship downward. The missile followed. Leary. He shouted, "Go to the back and release the flare trap." "It's a yellow lever by the left wall." Leary ran to the back, stumbling. Smoke filled the hallway as sparks burst from the walls. She found the lever, pulled it down. Click boom. A bright flash exploded behind the ship. The missile turned and hit the flare instead. A fireball lit the sky. Alex smiled. Nice timing, but they were not safe yet. One of the drones flew beside them, its gun charging up. "Brace." Alex shouted. The drone fired. The ship shook as metal tore near the engine. Warning lights blinked red. "We're hit." Leary cried from the back. Alex checked the panel. "We can still fly, but not for long." He turned the ship hard and flew low, over a dark forest covered in fog. The drones followed, silent and deadly. Then suddenly, the engine gave a loud pop. The ship started dropping, too fast, too steep. "We're going down." Leary ran back to the front. "What do we do?" Alex grabbed the parachute lever. "There's only one chute," he said. "You take it?" Leary froze. "No." "You have to," Alex said. "You're the one they want to destroy, not me." She looked at him, eyes filling with tears. "But you saved me," she whispered. "I'm not leaving you behind." Before he could argue, she jumped into the co-pilot seat and slammed her hand on the emergency override. The ship's wings snapped open wide. Reverse boosters fired, and the fall slowed just enough. Crash! The ship slammed into the side of a hill. Metal twisted, glass shattered, but it didn't explode. Silence followed, broken only by the sound of fire crackling inside the wrecked cockpit. Alex groaned. He looked over. Leary was breathing, her forehead bleeding slightly, but she was alive. "You're insane," he said. Smiling weakly, she smiled back. "You'd do the same?" They crawled out of the broken ship. The forest around them was silent. Too silent. Then they heard footsteps. Not drones, not beasts, soldiers. Voices in alien language. Heavy boots, scanning lights. "They followed us," Alex said. He opened a hidden slot in his boot and pulled out a small energy pistol. Only 3 shots left. Leary looked at the forest. "I know this place," she whispered. "My father used to hide here long ago." Alex turned to her, surprised. "Your father? He's still alive?" "I don't know," she said, "but if this place still has what he left behind, we might survive." Alex nodded, then handed her the pistol. She looked shocked. "But you..." He placed it gently in her hand. "Now it's your turn to protect someone." And with that, they ran into the dark trees, hunted, wounded, but not broken, not yet. The forest was thick and silent. Not even the wind dared to move the trees. Dark leaves hung low, and glowing insects danced slowly in the air. Alex moved carefully, his injured leg dragging slightly. Leary walked beside him, holding the small energy pistol tight in her hand. She was alert, her yellow eyes scanning every shadow. They didn't speak, but they didn't need to. Every crunch of a twig behind them felt like death. Every strange bird cry made Alex grip his knife tighter. The soldiers were close, too close. After walking for nearly an hour, Leary suddenly stopped. She looked at a strange tree, its trunk bent like a hook. "I remember this," she whispered. "My father carved something here." She knelt down and brushed away the moss. Under it was a panel, made of old metal, almost hidden by time. Alex raised his brow. A door. Leary nodded. She pressed her fingers on the edge. The metal shimmered and clicked. A deep rumble came from below. Slowly, the ground beside the tree opened, revealing stairs going underground. Warm air flowed out from below. It smelled like metal, spices, and something old. They went down quickly. Alex shut the door behind them, and darkness swallowed the forest above. Inside, lights blinked to life, soft and orange. The underground space was small, but safe. Old machines rested in corners, covered in dust and silence. There was a table, 2 beds, and walls filled with notes in alien script. Leary ran her fingers across the table. This was his last place, she said, before he vanished. Alex checked the corners. No traps, no signs of fresh use. They were alone, at least for now. He sat down on one of the metal beds, breathing heavily. Leary opened a cabinet and found an old medical kit. She cleaned his bleeding leg, wrapping it with care. "You've done this before," Alex said with a grin. "I watched the healers when they came to our camp," she replied softly. He looked around. "This place. Your father was smart. He knew the royals would come for you someday." Leary didn't answer. She walked to a corner and picked up a small metal cube. She pressed a button, and a voice came from it, faint, crackling male. "If you find this, daughter," the voice said, "I'm sorry I couldn't protect you. They wanted to erase our bloodline, but I left you the truth." Leary's hands shook. Tears filled her eyes. Alex placed a hand on her shoulder. "I'm still here," he said gently. "You're not alone." Then a noise. Click. Alex stood instantly. Gun raised. The light above the door flashed red. Someone had found the entrance. "I'll check it," Alex whispered. "No," Leary said. She grabbed his wrist. "Let me." Before he could argue, she moved to the entrance quietly, gun ready, heart racing. Then the door opened, and a figure stumbled in, covered in blood and dirt. Not a soldier, not a drone. It was Varn, the junk-armored half-alien who had helped them escape. He collapsed on the floor, groaning. "Tracked," he said weakly. "They followed me." Alex ran over, pulling him up. "What happened?" "They tried to kill me after I helped you." Varn coughed. "They found out I gave you the ship. Are they close?" Alex asked. Varn nodded. Minutes away, Leary looked at both of them, her face hard now. "Then we make our stand here. There's only one way in," Alex said. "Which means they'll come all at once." Varn pulled a small bag from his side. Inside were tools, chips, and a grenade. "Take what you need," he said. "I owe you both." Alex took the grenade. Leary took a new battery for her pistol. Then they set traps near the stairs, wires, smoke bursts, and sharp flashers. Alex looked at Leary. "You ready?" She nodded, her hand steady. "I'm done running." Then the door above opened again. Boots echoed on the steps. Shadows moved down the tunnel, voices shouting in a foreign tongue. Alex stood in front of Leary, gun in hand. But she stepped beside him. "Not behind you," she said. "Beside you, and together." They waited, not as prey, but as protectors. The lights flickered inside the underground shelter. Smoke from the traps curled through the narrow stairs. Alex gripped his gun tightly, his breath slow and focused. Leary stood next to him, eyes sharp, pistol loaded. Varn sat in the corner, bleeding but alert, one hand on a hidden trigger. Footsteps echoed down the tunnel. Heavy boots, maybe 6, maybe more. Voices whispered orders in a sharp alien tongue. Then flash, a soldier stepped through the smoke. Armored in black metal, his mask glowed red, his rifle pointed forward before he could fire. Boom. One of the flash traps exploded in his face. He fell back screaming, sparks flying from his helmet. Another soldier charged forward. Alex fired. One shot straight to the chest. The enemy dropped, armor cracking. But now the rest were coming fast. Leary aimed carefully, pulled the trigger. A red bolt struck a soldier in the leg. He fell, yelling in pain. Alex shouted, "Left side." Leary turned and hit another with a clean shot to the arm, the tunnel filled with chaos. Smoke, light, and shouting from behind the table. Varn threw a pulse mine. It rolled into the crowd. Boom. A wave of blue light knocked back to more soldiers. But then, silence. No more footsteps, no more shouts. Alex stepped carefully toward the tunnel, gun ready. One last soldier appeared, but he was different, taller, with gold lines on his armor. A captain. He raised his hand. Not to shoot, but to speak. You are protecting stolen property, he said coldly. That girl belongs to the royal houses. Leary stepped forward. I don't belong to anyone, she said, voice shaking but strong. She's a traitor by blood. The captain hissed. Her father led the rebellion. Her mother was a spy. Alex's eyes narrowed. So what? That makes her guilty. The captain raised his rifle slowly. Step aside, human, and we will spare your life. Alex didn't move. Leary didn't move. Varn coughed and shouted, Try it. The captain fired. Alex dropped, rolled, and fired back. The bolt hit the captain's shoulder. He screamed and fell to one knee. Leary rushed forward, kicked the rifle from his hand. He tried to grab her arm, but she slammed the butt of her pistol into his helmet once. Twice until he collapsed. It was over. The tunnel was full of bodies, smoke, and silence. Alex leaned against the wall, breathing hard. Varn groaned and laughed weakly. You two fight better than a whole army. Leary stood over the captain's body, then slowly knelt and searched his armor. She pulled out a glowing crystal cube data storage. What's that? Alex asked. My father's last message, she whispered. He must have hidden it before they caught him. She pressed a symbol on the cube. A soft voice echoed in the room. It was her father. If you are hearing this, the voice said. Then they failed to silence the truth. Our people were never rebels. We only wanted freedom. They feared our bloodline because of what we carry. Leary looked up at Alex, confused. Carry? The voice continued. Our genes were made to resist control, to heal faster, to unite species. That's why they want us gone. The message ended. Leary stared at the cube, her hands shaking. I'm not just hunted, she whispered. I'm dangerous to them. Alex stepped forward. And valuable to those who want peace. Varn slowly stood, groaning. You need to leave this planet, he said. Before they send real killers, Alex nodded. We'll need a better ship. Varn smiled. There's one hidden deeper in the caves. Old human tech, fast armed, forgotten. Leary stepped toward. Alex, she held out her hand. I don't want to run alone anymore, she said. Will you stay with me? Alex took her hand. Until my last breath, he said. They sealed the bunker, gathered the supplies, and began walking down the next tunnel. Toward a ship that could fly beyond this cursed world, but behind them, the red lights of the enemy were waking again. And the real war had only just begun. The tunnel grew wider the deeper they walked. The air smelled cleaner, cooler, touched by the memory of old machines. Alex moved carefully with a torch in one hand and Leary beside him. Behind them, Varn limped, leaning against the wall. Leaving drops of blood, they reached a sealed metal door, rusted but strong. Alex found a keypad on the side. He typed slowly, hands shaking from exhaustion. Old Earth code, he muttered. Let's hope the system still remembers us. Click. The lock turned, the door hissed open, and a light swept across their faces. Inside was a hidden hangar, untouched for years. At the center rested a sleek black ship. Shaped like a falcon in flight, dust covered its wings, but its engines pulsed faintly like a sleeping heart. Varn smiled weakly. She's called the Dawn Piercer, human tech, deep core engines, cloaking system, and backup AI. Alex walked around it, touching the hull. She's beautiful, he whispered. Leary ran her fingers along the edge. Will she fly? She will, Alex said. But we have to move fast. They opened the ship's hatch and climbed inside. The controls lit up slowly. Recognizing human touch. Welcome, pilot. said a soft voice from the ship's AI. Diagnostics running. Alex sat in the pilot's seat. Leary stood behind him, watching the stars on the broken ceiling open above. But just then, beep, beep. The alarm sounded, hostile signals approaching. The AI said, estimated time, 4 minutes. They found us. Varn coughed. I'll hold them off. Alex turned sharply. No way, you've already done enough. But Varn reached for his grenade belt. I've got nothing left but time. You two get out. Spread the message. Tell them what they fear. Leary stepped forward and hugged him tightly. You're not just junk armor, she whispered. You're our shield. Varn nodded once, then turned toward the tunnel. I'll block the main entry and give you 5 minutes. Make it count. Alex powered up the engines. They hummed louder, glowing blue now. Leary sat in the co-pilot seat, her hand gently resting on the control panel. You know, she said, smiling through tears. I never thought I'd leave this planet. Alex looked at her and smiled back. I never thought I'd care this much. The ship lifted off the ground, shaking off years of dust. Outside, explosions rocked the tunnel walls. Varn's final fight had begun. Doors opening, the AI said. The hangar roof split wide, revealing the night sky filled with stars. Then, boom, the dome piercer blasted upward. Leaving fire behind, Leary held tight as the ship cut through clouds, breaking past enemy radars. But one last drone followed. Fast, silent, dangerous. It locked onto them with a red beam, preparing a missile. We can't outrun it, Leary said. Alex opened the back hatch control. I'll drop the fusion core, he said. It'll overload and blast it, but we'll lose half our power, Leary said. We'll never reach the neutral zone. Alex paused, then turned to her. Do you trust me? Leary nodded. With everything I have, he dropped the fusion core. It fell like a burning star behind them. The drone followed. Boom. The sky lit up like day. The shockwave shook the ship. But the threat was gone. Inside, the lights dimmed. Power low. Reserve energy only, said the AI. We'll make it, Alex whispered. One last push. Hours passed in quiet. Leary leaned on Alex's shoulder, eyes closed. The stars moved slowly across the glass, and then a beacon blinked ahead. The neutral zone, a place where royals held no power, where truth still had a voice. We made it, Leary whispered, tears falling. I'm alive, Alex looked at her. You're more than alive. Your hope. The ship landed safely on a wide silver platform. Doctors rushed out, scientists, humans, even peaceful aliens, all curious. All watching, Leary stepped down, weak but standing, and held up the glowing cube. My name is Leary, she said. My father died for truth. And I carry his message. The crowd listened, the truth would spread, and everything would change. Alex stood beside her, silent but proud, the man who stepped forward and the girl who refused to stay down. Together, they had rewritten fate, not with war, but with courage, and far away. In the shadows, the royals watched in silence, afraid of what one human and one hunted girl had done.